Dylan Carlson's future with the Cardinals is in question. Should the Cardinals keep their former top prospect, or should they trade him for pitching? We'll tackle that subject today on Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Loop and a lifetime Cardinals fan, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter, X, at JD Sports Radio, as well as the podcast, available at LO_Cardinals. We want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube if you would like the visual version of the show. It is there. Like, subscribe, comment, interact with us. Hit that notification button so you know when new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode being brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. First and foremost, hope everyone had a very safe and outstanding Halloween. I know it got really cold really quick for a lot of people. Felt bad for the trick-or-treaters who were out there. You know, we saw a lot of families with the fire pits down at the end of the driveways for the trick-or-treaters, and we ended up taking our little dog Minnie out in her dog stroller. I dressed up. I should have put a picture of this up for you guys, but you can see it actually on Twitter. I did post it last night, but I dressed up as like, I don't know, it was like a ghost face looking thing where I had the mask from Scream on. And normally, like, I'm an anti-mask kind of guy because you can't really talk, you can't eat, you can't drink when you got something like that on. But walking around last night in the cold, I was more than happy to have a mask on. Kept my face nice and warm. Although some of the little kids were a little bit frightened to come up and pet the dog, who was dressed as a pumpkin, by the way, because of my mask. But anyway, let's talk some ball. Let's get into baseball talk, shall we? Specifically today, we're going to focus on outfielder Dylan Carlson, a guy who was a first-round pick not that long ago, back in 2016, although it does feel like a million years ago, doesn't it? When you say 2016, doesn't that feel like it was like a billion years ago when you say it out loud? But you also got to remember, though, in that 2016 draft, he was a high school player. So it's not like they took him out of college or anything like that. Had a pretty decent squad in high school. I don't know if you've heard about the guys that were on the team with them, but he ended up playing in high school. The Cubs, Nick Madrigal, was on that team, who was the 4th overall pick in 2018. I think the White Sox took him before he ended up with the Cubs. And then the Brewers, Roddy Tellez was on that team as well. And then there was a couple other guys that actually, went pro that were on that team. What was odd that year, though, if you go back and think about it, 2016, when they took Dylan Carlson, he actually wasn't even among MLB.com's top 200 prospects that year, which is weird that they would take him. I mean, they took him early, too. He was all set to go to Cal State Fullerton, and the Cardinals took him with their compensatory pick, number 33 overall. After, he had a stellar season his senior year. Switch hitter, obviously, is always cool. 407, 9 home runs, 40 RBIs in 36 games. But, to not even be among the top 200 prospects, draft prospects, and then the Cardinals to just go, yeah, we'll take him 33 overall. That's a little bit weird. Listed at 6'3", 195 back during the draft. So the Cardinals thought, you know what? Really good prospect. He's got pretty much all 5 tools. He hit for average. He had some pop, defense, speed, arm, and with room to grow at 6'3", 195 as a senior in high school. Only 17 at the time when he got drafted. So Cardinals scouting director Randy Flores even said this about Dylan after they took him, that he's very, very young. It'll be interesting to see in 4 or 5 years what this kid looks like. He's an exciting young player with power hitting potential. He gained steam as the season has gone on. And something I like to do, I'm very guilty of this, is I like to go back and look at the drafts that, because I like to see what happened. because it's easy for us to go, oh, idiot, you took this guy instead of this guy, but it's fun for me. If you go back early part of the draft, you had Delvin Perez going to the Cardinals at number 23. Do you remember him? Shortstop, got busted for PEDs. Cardinals took him in the first round anyway. Total bust, never amounted to anything. Carlson at 33, Dakota Hudson, next pick at 34. And like I said, just for fun, why not? Let's go back and look at some of the other names selected after the Cardinals took Perez, Carlson, and Dakota Hudson. A guy by the name of Brian Reynolds, heard of him? He went at number 59 to the Pirates. Pete Alonso fell to number 64. Mets took him there. Toronto took Bo Bichette at 66. I would say all three of those guys are better than the guys that the Cardinals took. The Cardinals ended up taking Virginia pitcher Connor Jones in round 2 at number 70. He was a bust, never did anything. After him, you had catcher Sean Murphy going to the A's at 83. Zach Gallen, Cardinals took him at 103. That was a good pick. Traded him away. We didn't really get much out of it for it, but Corbin Burns went after Zach Gallen to Milwaukee at 111. Shane Bieber to Cleveland at 122. A guy, think about that name because we're going to talk about him a little bit later. But you can do this with any team, right? In sports. But I always find it fascinating to see how bad teams swung and missed in the drafts and how these future stars just fall through the cracks and end up being, a big deal. Anyways, back to Carlson, who didn't really take off in the minor leagues right away till about 2019. That's when he really started to hit his stride. Was at AA and AAA combined that year, hit 292, 26 home runs, 68 RBIs, 20 stolen bases, a little bit of everything there. Went to the Futures game, was there with Nolan Gorman, actually, that year. Texas League All-Star, all seem right in the world with Dylan Carlson. Gets promoted by the Cardinals to the big league club, 2020 COVID year, which is weird for everybody. Plays 35 games, hits 200, 3 home runs, 16 RBIs. But 2021, his real rookie year, 149 games. He hits 266, 18 home runs, 65 RBIs, and he finishes third in the Rookie of the Year voting. And do you guys remember who he lost to that year? Anybody? Raise your hand. Yes, you right there. If the answer you were going to say was Jonathan India, then you would be correct. That's right. A guy who also might be on the trading block right now. Those are the rumors. Jonathan India for the Reds could be moved. He won it with the Reds and had very similar numbers to Dylan Carlson. India hit 269 that year, 21 bombs, 69 ribbies. His WAR was a full point higher, but he was batting leadoff for that Reds team, which had a lot of offense, scored 20 more runs, only had one more hit than Carlson. But the split issues is something that has plagued Carlson since coming up to the pros. Crushed lefties in 2021. Crushed them. 342 batting average against him. Righties, 243. We're going to circle back to this because it becomes a theme. Point being here, overall, the Cardinals appear to have, after that season in 2021 with Dylan Carlson, I think you, like me, very excited about Dylan Carlson's future. Seems like, I don't want to say a superstar on their hands, but a very good outfielder. He's only 22, so he's young. Sky's the limit. 2022, we get some regression, which happens. It's okay. The numbers drop big time, though. This is where you worry a little bit. We go from what you just heard in his first year of 2021, 2022, he's down to 236, only 8 home runs, 42 RBIs, little less than 500 plate appearances. Now, injuries became a thing. This is when the injury bug started to bite. Carlson had a hammy issue in May. Then he had the thumb issue in September, which really stunk for the club because he was going to be that everyday center fielder after they had traded Bader to the Yankees. But the struggle against right-handed pitchers, it continued, and it got worse. Really stood out this year. Hits 207 against the righties, 305 against the lefties. So the numbers down for both sides, but now we're down to 207. Now we're getting close to that Mendoza line as a left-handed hitter. Then this offseason, we hear that Carlson is bulked up. He put on some muscle weight, was taking in all these calories, trying to bulk up, trying to stay fit, get a little bit of meat on his bones. They list him at 6'2", 205, which is a little bit weird, which means he's shrunk an inch since he got drafted. He's only put on 10 pounds since 2016. So the growing that they thought he was going to obtain, growth-wise, girth-wise, if you will. Didn't really happen since the draft. But this offseason, he bulks up, like we said, and you could see it in his physique and in his upper body. Wanted to supply some more power, was competing with O'Neal and Newbar for that center field job, which he ultimately lost. And then when Jordan Walker was added to the roster, Dylan became the fourth outfielder. I mean, talk about a fall from grace. One bad year, and he's already your fourth outfielder. I wasn't thrilled with this idea. You guys know this. For those of you who are everydayers, when Jordan Walker was announced that he was going to be on the Major League roster, happy for Jordan Walker. Thought it was a terrible idea for the Cardinals themselves because you already had guys that you needed to play ahead of him. And if you were going to keep him on the roster, Walker had to play, which means one of your guys who was supposed to be a starter is now on the bench, and that ended up being Dylan Carlson. I didn't like that. I thought Walker should have started at Memphis, and if these guys struggled or there were injuries, then you bring Walker up. But that didn't happen. So then injuries again, May ankle issue, which at the time we didn't think was such a big deal, but apparently it was far worse than any of us knew. Remember, we just thought he kind of rolled it, and then he was out for a while. He comes back in June, hits 289, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, and 55 plate appearances. But July, he tanks again, 182, no power, 0 home runs. And then the oblique injury hits him in August, done for the year. Ends up having ankle surgery this offseason. That's how bad his ankle was jacked up. So final line for the year, 219. And these are ugly numbers. 219, 5 home runs, 27 ribbies, 3 stolen bases. The OPS plus 79. Not great. And against righties, he hits just 196. So now he's under the Mendoza line with an OPS plus of 64. Against lefties, 268. Not great, but the OPS of 111. You'll take that. So what happens next for Dylan Carlson? Where are we with him? Do you keep him? Do you trade him? Personally, I'm not wanting to get rid of Dylan Carlson. I'd be ready to trade other people ahead of him. 25 years old. We know what it's like when we give up on 25-year-olds. Have we not learned this yet? Randy Arozarena, Adolis Garcia. Are we giving up on this 25-year-old who's had 2 unhealthy seasons after finishing 3rd in the Rookie of the Year? Is that where we're at? But problem is, Cardinals have other needs, right? And if what's left of his trade value, which is pretty low right now, can go out and get you something good in return to help this ball club as far as the pitching staff goes, then perhaps that's the route you have to go. So up next on Locked On Cardinals, we're going to take a look at trade possibilities that include Dylan Carlson. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Just giving it to you. Just giving you money. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, no better time to actually get in on the action. The app is very easy to use. Wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. I know football is obviously a big deal, but you got everything going on right now, right? You've got the NHL is underway. You still got baseball going on. You've got NFL. You've got hockey. You've got NBA as well that has started up. You're going to have college basketball coming your way here real soon. You still got college football. I mean, it's all happening right now. So plenty of chances to win. Thursday night football tomorrow night. Steelers are going to host the Titans. Pittsburgh favored by 2.5 right now. Former Kentucky quarterback Will Levis just went off this past week, 4 touchdowns this weekend, 3 of them going to DeAndre Hopkins. So hopefully you didn't have to face him in fantasy. If not, you probably lost. If not, good news. If you did, you probably lost. They beat the Falcons. They go to 3-4. Steelers, their offense continues to be stuck in the mud. They scored just 10 points, lose to the Jaguars. They're now 4-3. Whoever you're picking in this one, I would lean towards the under. That would be my advice to you as far as that bet. But a lot of fun matchups this weekend in the NFL. Dolphins and Chiefs are going to be in Germany playing on Sunday morning. Cowboys at the Eagles, Bills at the Bengals. My Packers completely stink, so just bet against them. You'll probably win money. But get in on the action. Make some money this week. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. You can leave comments on YouTube as well as on Twitter anytime you want. Your feedback always welcome and encouraged. I was jumping around on the net yesterday when I saw an article written by Curt Bishop from Fansided. And I always love these kind of articles. I find them very much entertaining because that's what it's there for. It's basically us coming up with fake trade ideas for fun, whether realistic or not, that we can just kind of tinker with and talk about just for discussion purposes. Okay. So just remember when we talk about these trades here, yes, it's serious, but at the same time, we're just throwing things up on the wall and seeing what sticks. Okay. He put together a list of 3 trades that were involving Dylan Carlson, which was great because that's who I wanted to talk about. And he listed as 3 trades involving Dylan Carlson that could jumpstart the Cardinals' rebuild. So let's take a look at what he's got, see if any of them sound good to you or suck butt and aren't good at all. So I'm going to link the full article in the description and show notes below. So if you want to check it out for yourself, I encourage you to do that. All right. So the first one that he's got, again, all of these will involve Dylan Carlson. Number 1, swap Dylan Carlson to the Dodgers for pitcher Emmett Sheehan. This is what he writes. The Dodgers need some outfielders. David Peralta, Jason Hayward, Enrique Hernandez, and JD Martinez are all about to be free agents, with James Outman and Mookie Betts as the only sure things for 2024. Carlson could find himself a role in Los Angeles. Sheehan went 4-1 with a 4.92 ERA in 13 appearances this year, 11 of which were starts, but the young right-hander has plenty of potential and could almost certainly be penciled into the Cards rotation next year. Personally, this is a deal that I don't think I'd hate all that much. Young hitter in a bit of a logjam in the outfield for a young pitcher. You're swapping a strength for something you need. Dodgers got the pitching. They don't have the outfielders. Seems like, a good baseball trade. Sheehan, we've talked about before, one of the top pitching prospects for the Dodgers coming into the year. One of the write-ups on him in the preseason said this about him. 6th rounder out of the 2021 MLB draft. Tall, projectable, physical, seemingly unfazed by upper echelon hitting. Sheehan could very well be on his way to the Dodgers rotation sooner rather than later. Though he overpowers hitters with premium velocity, a 3/4 arm slot with extension, his go-to secondary is a late dropping changeup, thus creating the perfect 1-2 punch. The combination is deadly when Sheehan fills the zone. Next, developing an MLB-ready breaking pitch, and then look out. And guess what happened? Guess what happened this year? 6'5", 220-pounder begins the year at Double-A where he dominates. He dominates in 12 appearances, 10 of them starts. He goes 4-1 with a 1.86 ERA with 88 strikeouts and 53 1/3 innings. Gets called up in June straight from Double-A. Comes up to LA. First start against the Giants, 6 no-hit innings, although Dodgers spoil it and they actually lose that game, but a tremendous debut. He had plenty of games where he did struggle as a rookie, which is expected, coming straight from Double-A. 8 runs against the Rangers, who are close to winning a World Series right now. Gives up 5 to Washington. There's a couple other ones in there, but over his last 3 appearances, 2 of them were starts. He throws 13 2/3 innings, has a 1.98 ERA with 24 Ks. Average velo on his fastball, 95.4. You'll take that. That'll play. He's got a slider, changeup, and sweeper, 47.6% whiff percentage on the changeup that they were talking about in the preseason there. According to Baseball Savant, comparable pitchers to what he did this year, Max Scherzer and Lucas Giolito. I think a lot of fans would be happy if you picked up Max Scherzer. A lot of talk that Lucas Giolito might be a guy the Cardinals want to bring in as like a number 4. So certainly an intriguing player to go after. The Dodgers, they got multiple guys in their pitching staff that I would take on this team. So Sheehan, obviously somebody I wouldn't be upset about if that's what you move him for. Now, let's talk about a couple of other deals that would involve more well-known names and veteran pitchers. Number 2 on the list here, a package deal of Carlson plus either Nolan Gorman, Brendan Donovan, or Tommy Edman to the White Sox for Dylan Cease. Here's what Bishop writes. Cease struggled this year, posting a 4.58 ERA, but his swing and miss capability would benefit the Cardinals' rotation, which has largely relied on an outdated pitch-to-contact approach. Yes, we all know that. Even after trading away Randy Arozarena and Adolis Garcia, the logjam in the St. Louis outfield has not been cleared in any way, but Carlson could be in a position to compete for an everyday role with the White Sox should this trade come to pass. Now, personally, I like Cease a lot. I really do. He had a down year this year, but I still like what he does. I really do. And if swapping Carlson and a Donovan or Edman was enough, then I think I'd be on board with that. I am not somebody who wants to trade Nolan Gorman. He's virtually untradeable in my eyes. You're not going to find a left-handed power hitter like that plays the infield as well as he's done. Like, he's gotten better, right? He's not a Gold Glover by any means, but he's gotten better. But left-handed power like that, it just does not exist every day. It's an elite thing that Nolan Gorman has. And he's so young, and he got better big time from year 1 to year 2. And you would hope that you even get another jump coming up in year 3, and he continues to progress. I do not want to trade Nolan Gorman. I really don't. Can Carlson or a Carlson, Edman, or Donovan mixture, would that be enough? Plus a couple of prospects to go get Dylan Cease? I don't know. White Sox didn't seem very eager to move him at the trade deadline. I don't know if life will change for them here in the offseason, but I like Dylan Cease a lot. And that's, again, if I'm going to move somebody like Edman or Donovan, I want it to be for somebody of Dylan Cease's capabilities. I don't want it to be for some guy that, he's all right. No, I want somebody who has a very good chance of being an elite guy this season. All right. The third one, how are we doing on time here? Third one. All right, let's get to it. Third one, Carlson and Gorman to Cleveland for Shane Bieber. Here's what Bishop writes. As mentioned previously, Carlson alone will not be enough to land an ace. St. Louis needs 2 such pitchers, but packaging him with an impact player such as Gorman would likely get the job done while also helping to clear out the logjam in the outfield. Bieber dealt with injuries in 2023, didn't have his best season, 6-6, ERA 3.80 in 21 starts. His strikeout numbers are down slightly, but he is still only 28 and definitely has some good years left in him. He'll be a free agent at the end of the 2024 season, so St. Louis would have to be cognizant of that. The Guardians already have Steve Kwan, Miles Straw, and Oscar Gonzalez as their starting outfielders, but there could be a way for Carlson, to carve out a role for himself. Again, I'm not trying to move Gorman. That is not something that is on my list for the Cardinals to improve this team this year. I'd rather them just open up the checkbooks and pay someone than have to move Gorman in a deal. And I'm not a huge fan of Bieber. It has nothing to do with his name. It's just for what the Cardinals are looking to obtain for their starting rotation this year, I don't think Bieber's a great fit. I think he's a very good pitcher. Don't get me wrong. Amazing in 2019. Amazing in 2020. During that COVID year, he ends up winning the Cy Young Award. Got the AL pitching triple crown that season. I mean, can't argue with that. But the strikeouts, they've slipped. They've slipped the last few years. Perhaps it's because of the injuries he's gone through. 2021, he was at 134 Ks in 96 innings. And then he had I'm going to make sure I don't butcher this, subscapularis strain. A subscapularis strain. Did I nail it? So that had an issue. 2022, pitches 200 innings, 198 strikeouts. That's good. You'll take that. But it's not like where he was as far as the strikeouts per 9. Like, they started dipping. Last year, 107 and 128 innings, dealt with elbow inflammation. He's trending the wrong way. His average velo on the fastball back 2019 and 2020, 93, 94. He now sits at 91.3 last year. Okay. Weren't we all whining and complaining about Adam Wainwright throwing like 89? And we're at 91.3 with Bieber. And I know that Bieber is a breaking ball guy. His breaking stuff, normally very elite, right? That's his good stuff. It's not about his fastball. He's not a power pitcher like that. But the whiff percentages on the curveball and the slider are also down dramatically from those 2019, 2020 seasons. And that's when the injuries started. I love that he doesn't walk people. I love that he gets a lot of ground balls. But out of these 3 particular situations, this is my least favorite. I'm not big on Bieber. He's an upgrade for the Cardinals because most people are, right? I mean, if you can get him, you want him because, he's better than what you got. But for this trade, for a cost of Dylan Carlson and Nolan Gorman, no way. I'd rather have Cease. If we're giving up that package, I'd be going after Dylan Cease instead, not Shane Bieber. But what are your thoughts on these 3 deals? that were proposed. Okay. That's what I want to know. Better yet, tell me this. Pick one of them. Pick one of them that you would choose. You got to choose one. Which one are you more likely to go with? That's what I want to hear from you in the comments down below, or hit me up on Twitter X and let me know what your answers are. We're going to jump into some World Series talk next on Locked On Cardinals. Game 5 of the World Series takes place tonight in Arizona with the Rangers up 3-1 on the D-backs after last night's 11-7 win. Now that score, it sounds closer than the game really was. Texas jumped out big early. They got 5 in the second, then 5 more in the third inning. It was up 10-0, and they did it without their postseason superstar, Adolis Garcia, who unfortunately gets hurt in game 3. He's got an oblique injury. He is done for the series. They pulled him off the roster. He's gone. The Rangers also lost Max Scherzer in that game. He left with the back tightness or spasms, and he's done for the series as well. And yet, the Rangers, they got enough going on where they persevere in game 4. They jump all over the Diamondbacks pitchers who, again, I don't understand the bullpen game in the World Series. I didn't like it in the ALCS, NLCS series either. We don't have a one starter that you trust to get you 3-4 innings. Like, you're going to go bullpen? I don't know. I just feels odd that that's what they had to go with again. It did. I think it worked out. It did work out at the NLCS for them, but I don't know. Mantiply, Castro, Nelson, and Frias, they combined for just 3 innings. Like, it backfired big time. Combined 10 runs they gave up. 5 of those were earned. 8 hits, 3 home runs. And remarkably, all 10 of those runs that the Rangers got in the second and the third innings, all with 2 outs. All of them with 2 outs. You had Corey Seager, who, as of right now, is going to be the MVP of the World Series. Hit his 6th home run of the postseason. Marcus Semien have been very quiet in the postseason thus far. Garcia thriving. Garcia has to leave because of the injuries, not available anymore. Look who pops up. Marcus Semien, who was amazing this year, has just been cold in the offseason. He gets 5 RBIs in this one from the leadoff spot, including his first postseason dinger. Arizona got 4 in the 8th, 2 in the 9th to make it interesting. I mean, it kind of cost the Rangers. They had to start using a lot of their bullpen, including their closer, which you don't like to do when you were up in a game by 10 runs at one point. But it was a sound victory for the Rangers, who are now 1 win away from winning their first World Series championship in team history. Now, the Diamondbacks, they're going to be trying to make history. They're going to try to become the 7th team in series history to come back from a 3-1 deficit to win it all. Cubs were the last team to do that back in 2016. Am I counting the Diamondbacks out? No, because I've seen what they've done in this postseason. And it's hard to say, oh, they're toast, because they always seem to come back. Zach Gallen will take the bump for the Snakes tonight, while the Rangers will counter with Nathan Eovaldi, who has yet to lose in this postseason. He's 4-0 with a 3.52 ERA, but Arizona did touch him up for 5 runs and 4 2/3 in game 1. But the Rangers made that late comeback with the home run from Seager to tie things in the 9th, and then you get the Garcia walk-off in the 11th. So they were able to pull that one out. And then Gallen hasn't really been the guy from the regular season here in the postseason, where he's 2-2. His ERA is over 5. It's really been bad. His first 2 starts weren't bad. Last 3, though, they've been kind of rough. You know, the Phillies knocked him around in both of those starts in the NLCS. He allowed a combined 5 home runs in those 2 games. Then in game 1 of the World Series, gives up 3 runs in 5 innings on just 4 hits, which isn't all that bad, but he walked 4. I don't know. He just looks a little bit off. Series on the line tonight. Gallen's going to have to step up. It's going to have to be that ace of the staff. And if they can pull this one out, and then you got Merrill Kelly going in the next game, who has been lights out for the Diamondbacks. So that really gives you a chance, but they need the best out of Zach Gallen tonight. We'll see what he brings. The Rangers have now won 10 straight road games in the playoffs, which is a record for the postseason, surpassing the Yankees 9 in a row. They did that 96-97, and also previously from 1932 to 1947, they had won 9 straight. So they'll have to win 11 in a row if they want to win the World Series tonight. First pitch going to be at 7 o'clock St. Louis time on Fox. So let me know your thoughts about the World Series down below as well. And once again, thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, would love for you to give us a follow on Twitter X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Even more importantly, though, we would love for you to like and subscribe on YouTube as we try to creep our way to 8,000 subscribers here at Locked On Cardinals on the YouTube channel. Would appreciate you if you could, hit the button. Just boop. That's all it is. It's real quick. Very simple. Very simple. Won't take you long. We won't bug you with a bunch of boring stuff. We always got good stuff coming your way. Help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. And I will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals. Have a good one.